How we doing, everybody? And welcome to Wild Card Tuesday. The Wild Card tips off today. Tips off, first pitch, whatever you want to call it. It starts today for the Brewers. They have the D-backs coming up tonight here from American Family Field. We're going to be talking a lot of Brewers today, getting prepared for this game one of the Wild Card series. The Brewers, like I said, Diamondbacks. Corbin Burnes will toe the mound for the Brewers. We got our answer there with the probables here for the Brewers. Corbin Burnes got the ball game one here. Looking at his opponent in this one, on the flip side of it, rookie right-hander Brandon Fat. We're going to call him Fat because it's spelled P-F-A-A-D-T. I'm assuming the P is silent, so we're going to say Fat, something like that. That's what we're going to go with. On the flip side there, Brandon is sitting at a 3-9 record on the season with a 5.72 ERA. The Brewers might have gotten a prayer answered in game one here. You have your ace, Corbin Burnes, 10-8 on the season, 3.39 ERA. Couple blow-up starts really resulted in that ERA looking as it does. But Corbin Burnes has been solid for the Brewers all season long. You got him going up against a rookie right-hander. American Family Field is going to be rocking. It should be rocking for game one of the Wild Card series. I'm seeing it all over. It looks like there will be a lot of people in attendance for this one. With that, a rookie right-hander on the mound, this Brewers offense has to take advantage of that situation. You cannot go into this game. You don't have to face Gallen. You're not facing Merrill Kelly. You're going to get a rookie. A 5.72 ERA on the season. 3-9 is his record. This is the Brewers' chance to pounce. Game one of the wild card at home. Your ace is on the mound. You got to be able to take care of business here. Then you go into game two and you face Gallen. A little bit of pressure off the shoulders there. Heading into game two, a little bit more relaxed. It would be a struggle if you lose game one to a rookie. Then you got to go game two against Gallen. That is not home cooking right there. You are setting yourself up for failure. The Brewers need game one, and they just got a gift by the Diamondbacks starting a rookie right-hander who has struggled this season for the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks, in the postseason for the first time since 2017, finished the season on 4 consecutive losses, but they did secure that wild card there. The Diamondbacks have been struggling as of late leading up into the playoffs, but that's still nothing to shake your head at. You look at them at the All-Star break, they were 52-39, tied with the Dodgers for the NL West lead, and finished 16 games behind the Dodgers there. Lost 110 games back in 2021. Then they're actually just the third team in Major League history to go from 110-plus loss season to the playoffs within 3 years. The Diamondbacks have really improved, and that's a lot due to manager Torey Lovullo, and also getting a team full of a lot of younger guys, a lot of speed, but a lot of talent on that team. And we're going to get into some of the bigger boppers on that team. But this team has been built all season long for this moment. These rookies have progressed throughout the year. Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte has played great for him. Christian Walker has played great for him. This team is built. They have Merrill Kelly in that rotation, Zach Gallen in that rotation. They are poised to come to Milwaukee and be able to pull off a upset in this series here. The Brewers have to be ready, and they have to be ready to pounce on a situation like a rookie starting on the mound underneath the lights at American Family Field, having the crowd behind the Brewers there. It's going to be loud. That should help the Brewers in this series. Also, you look back at this last weekend, Zach Gallen pitched on Friday. Wednesday would be he's scheduled to start Wednesday for the Diamondbacks. So you're going to get him coming off of a loss there to the Astros. Also, Merrill Kelly coming off a loss there against the Astros. Coming into this one, looks like they'll have full rest between Gallen and Merrill Kelly. Had to count it out, make sure I was right. Have full rest out of those two starters, so you're going to get their best stuff. You got to be able to hit their best stuff, and I do think the Brewers are poised. Their offense has been hitting a little bit better as of late. William Contreras is bringing an 18-game hitting streak into the playoffs. Hit .342 with 5 home runs, 11 doubles, 24 RBIs, 25 walks, and 33 runs over his final 39 games. And then looking at the offense for the Brewers since the trade deadline, Canna's hit 33 RBIs for the Brewers from August 1st to October 1st, trailed only Contreras, who had 34, and that Santana had 11 home runs and 33 RBIs in 52 games after being acquired from Pittsburgh. Also looking at, on the flip side of that, Tyrone Taylor, injured much of the season here, hit 291 over his final 23 games with 5 homers, 9 doubles, and 17 RBIs. This team has been hitting as of late, especially after the trade deadline. You added boosters into this team like Mark Canha and even Santana before that. Those guys have really boosted this offense over the top. We look at comparisons between the two teams. You look at their full season stats between the Diamondbacks and the Brewers, runs per game. Diamondbacks, for the full season batting statistics here, the Diamondbacks are sitting at 4.6, the Brewers at 4.5. Batting average 250 for the Diamondbacks, 240 for the Brewers. On base percentage, Diamondbacks are sitting at 322, the Brewers 319. Slugging percentage, 408 for the D-backs, 319 for the Brewers. OPS 730 for the D-backs, 704 for the Brewers. Home runs, the Brewers trail the Diamondbacks by 166 to 165. Stolen bases, Diamondbacks love to run. 166 on stolen bases for the year for the Diamondbacks, 129 for the Brewers. But if you look at post-trade deadline stats, August 2nd on for these teams, the Brewers jumped. Looking at runs per game, the Diamondbacks sitting at 4.1, the Brewers sitting at 5.1. Batting average, 238 for the Diamondbacks, 254 for the Brewers. On base percentage, 316 for the Diamondbacks, 335 for the Brewers. Slugging percentage, 371 for the Diamondbacks, 403 for the Brewers. OPS, 688 for the Diamondbacks, 738 for the Brewers. Home runs, the Brewers have hit 53 since the trade deadline. The Diamondbacks at 43 in stolen bases. Diamondbacks still love to run. 60 stolen bases there to the Brewers 44. The Diamondbacks will, if they get on, you got to be ready for the steal. So that's on these Brewers pitchers. Have to be ready to pick off, use their pickoffs wisely, and also Contreras behind the plate, or if Caratini gets in there behind the plate. I'm not sure with game one here. Corbin Burnes has worked with Caratini all season long. And we know he loves working with Caratini. I don't know if Craig Counsell rolls into the playoffs here and just decides, hey, we're going to use William Contreras in the DH role, and we're going to let Caratini catch for Corbin Burnes. It's been the solid battery mate all season long for Corbin Burnes is to have Victor Caratini out there. You know, at some point, you look a couple years ago at the Houston Astros. They won the World Series with a guy. Brewer fans know him if you follow the Brewers for years, if you're just joining the Brewers. Either way, you know him, Martin Maldonado, and he was never a solid hitter. He was consistently a low 200s. I mean, he hit in the hundreds for a while there. I mean, he was a struggling hitter, but a solid catcher, solid defensive catcher. Loved him for his defense. And the Astros rolled with him all season long. They kept him in there. I mean, the next season they did end up trading for another catcher. I think they got Vasquez from the was he from the Red Sox that time? I can't remember if he was. I think he was Christian Vasquez. I think he came from the Red Sox. But either way, they stuck with a catcher, not as good of a hitter, but he had the defense to back it up, and they added. There was a hole in that lineup, but it was okay. Caratini is a good hitter. He can get on for you. I think game one of this series here, I think you roll the dice and you put Caratini out there in the catcher spot, and you let William Contreras bat in that DH role for you, and then you put that's where it gets dicey then, because then you have to figure out your field for you. I really do think Christian Yelich is going to be in left. You would have Sal Frelick patrolling center and Mark Canha in right field. I almost forgot about Mark Canha. Mark Canha's got to be out there. He's in right field for you. Sal Frelick in center. And then at third base, I'm honestly, if I don't put Monasterio at second base, I'm rolling with Monasterio at third. Monasterio is my third baseman for this game. Willy Adames is playing short. Bryce Terang's at second. Carlos Santana at first. Like I said, Caratini behind the plate. I think that is a solid defense and solid offense rolling into this series. Some people will say Josh Donaldson. I think Monasterio is a better hitter than Josh Donaldson, and I think Monasterio's glove at third base just enough to do what he's got to do out there. Terang doesn't have the bat all the time, but his defense is solid up the middle, and you can't beat it. Especially with speedy guys, you're going to need some speed out there and some range to be able to run these balls down fast. Because look at Corbin Carroll, as fast as he is, he hits a ball on the ground. You got to be able to get it to first as fast as possible. And I think having Terang out there is huge for the Brewers in this series. You can't really get rid of Mark Canha in the outfield. He's been one of your most consistent bats. He's got to be out there. He's in right field for me. Yelich in left, and then Sal Frelick in center. Mitchell coming off the bench. Also having a guy like Josh Donaldson coming off the bench for the Brewers here. I think that is the best options. And we're going to run through the projection, what I think the 26-man roster will look like for the Brewers leading up into this wild card series. But that would be my solid best effort lineup for the Brewers here leading into game one. But with that, back into the comparisons between the two teams here. If we look at the Brewers' top 5 hitters, you're looking at guys like Carlos Santana and Mark Canha. Those guys came to the Brewers at the trade deadline from the Pirates and the Mets. Santana, in his career with Milwaukee, he's hit .287, 8 doubles, a triple, 11 home runs, 33 runs, 33 RBIs, 20 walks, and 35 strikeouts. Very susceptible to the double play, but he's only grounded in 8 of them in 52 games, so I'm living with that with Santana. Canha has played 50 games with the Brewers, .287 average. He struggled with the Mets to start the year. The Brewers took a shot at him. .287 with the Brewers. It's like a little rejuvenation for him when he came to Milwaukee. With 10 doubles, 5 home runs, 23 runs scored, 33 RBIs, 17 walks, and 27 strikeouts, 4 stolen bases. He is a threat every single time he's up there to reach base. Very good contact hitter, very good at watching pitches, and very good at getting hit by pitches. Canha and Santana, if the Brewers are going to go far in the playoffs, these two need to get hot in the playoffs. That is just there's other guys in this roster, and I'm going to cover them in these top 5 for the Brewers. But those two are going to be very big keys to the Brewers' success leading to the playoffs. The offense is going to be key for the Brewers, but these two in particular are going to be huge down the stretch for the Brewers. Another guy, we're looking at Christian Yelich. He's hit the most home runs he's had, 19, RBIs 76, and stolen bases 28, and the most runs he's scored, 106, since his MVP seasons in 2018, 2019. Probably would have won it in 2019 before the injury. He lost it after that. But this has been his best year since then. He's been worth 4 is WAR, a stat they made up, is 4.1, wins above replacement, will be the biggest offensive threat the D-backs have to face. That perspective of it is, if they control Christian Yelich at the top of this lineup, Christian Yelich can knock it on for his mates, his William Contreras, Mark Canha, Santana. If the bottom of the order gets on, Christian Yelich comes up and he's a ground ball out, double play, strikeout victim. The Diamondbacks will win this series. He is their biggest threat, but he also could be the Brewers' kryptonite in this series. Christian Yelich can take this team and boost it to another level at the top of the order. He can set the table for the boppers after him. The Contreras, Santana, Mark Canha, even a guy like Willy Adames. Christian Yelich is going to set the table for those guys, and that's where I believe he is the biggest threat for the D-backs in this series. Just for the simple fact of, if he goes, the offense will go with him. It just seems like that all season long. Another guy I'm going to cover, Willy Adames, same thing. When Willy Adames got hot, the Brewers got hot along with him. Christian Yelich gets hot in this series, the D-backs will struggle with the rest of this offense. Christian Yelich will set the table at the top of the order, and when he gets on, he's a big stolen base threat. That's where this trouble is going to come in with the D-backs, is when he gets on, he's got that ability to take that next base on you, set the table for a runner on second right away in this game for a guy like William Contreras or guys like Canha and Santana, even Willy Adames, the rest of the order. If Christian Yelich gets hot, the bottom of the order gets on, the Tyrone Taylors and the Sal Frelick. The Bryce Terang, also Sal Frelick, Bryce Terang speed threats for this team. They get on for Christian Yelich, get into scoring position for him, and he gets hot in this series. The D-backs will struggle with the Brewers offense. This offense will go as far as, I'm going to name the top 5 hitters. That's as far as the Brewers will take it in this series. But I do think Christian Yelich is one of the biggest threats to the D-backs, and the simple fact of the Brewers will go as he goes. Another guy looking at top 5 hitters for the Brewers, you got to look at Willy Adames. Now, you look at his average, definitely not Willy Adames. Willy Adames is far from the threat that I'm talking about for this Brewers team. But Willy Adames for the Brewers is, his production is astronomical for this Brewers team. When he goes, this whole team goes. And you look at him over the last 7 games. 280 hitter, 7 hits, 25 at-bats, 2 RBIs. Last 15, he's hitting 255. Willy Adames is starting to heat up leading into playoffs. If Willy Adames can get hot, and I mean 2 hits a game, even a hit a game leading into the playoffs here, if he has a game or 2 in here where he's getting a 3 for 5 effort, the Brewers will roll. Why? Because Willy Adames is a power threat, and we've seen it all season long. Guys get on for Willy. Christian Yelich gets on. Contreras gets on. Santana can get on. Mark Canha can get on. Can Willy Adames hit him in? If he gets hot and Willy Adames starts to become an RBI machine for the Brewers there, he's got the pop in his bat. We've seen it all season long. You look at his home run averages for him on this season. Just to check it out here, I think he's sitting at 24. 24 home runs for the Brewers on the season. That is the Willy Adames we need to see in this series. You look at his career postseason, 18 hits, 2 home runs, 194 average. We need that average in the postseason to kick up a little bit, but Willy Adames could be huge for the Brewers in this series. Another guy we are looking at, and he's been the engine that has made the Brewers go all season long. When Yelich has struggled, he's been hot. When everybody else is struggling, he stays consistent. William Contreras, it has been the Brewers' offense all season long. Hit first catcher, has developed a better glove and a better arm with the Brewers here. 17 home runs, 86 runs scored, 78 RBIs, 6 stolen bases, a 291 average for Contreras. He has been huge all season long. He's been huge for the Brewers in the simple fact of he like Mark Canha, is an on-base machine. He's walking more than he's striking out. Lowered his strikeout rate actually from last season with the Atlanta Braves down 7%. And he's walked about 10.3% more of the time than he did with the Braves. He has become a mainstay in the Brewers offense, and that's why I think you roll him in that DH role because you're still getting the production out of William Contreras, and he can do some major damage at the top of this order, especially if Christian Yelich gets hot and William Contreras keeps rolling like he is. The Brewers offense will flourish in the postseason. But like I said, it's a matter of if those two can get hot and stay hot in the postseason here. Looking over at the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks' top hitters in this series, number 1, we've heard his name all season long, Corbin Carroll, looking like he's going to be Rookie of the Year. It's hard to actually put how impactful he's been for this team. 285 hitter, 30 doubles, leading the league with 10 triples, 25 home runs, 116 runs scored, 76 RBIs, 75 walks, but 125 strikeouts to go with it. He has stolen 54 bases on the season, and he's only been caught a couple times. So the Brewers will be tested by Corbin Carroll in this series. He's going to be likely to attempt a stolen base every time he gets on base in this series. So the Brewers really have to control the base paths here and really work on him at first base, keeping him close, keeping those jumps slow to help out guys like Caratini or William Contreras be able to get better throws off at second base. Corbin Carroll, if you control Corbin Carroll in this series, it gets a lot easier on the pitching staff going into this series here. Looking at another guy for the Diamondbacks, Christian Walker, career year for him. He's been a power and RBI machine for this Diamondbacks team. 36 doubles, 2 triples, 33 home runs on the season, 103 RBIs, 62 walks, and just 127 strikeouts. He's chipped on the base pass. He's got 11 stolen bases on the season. So none of these guys on the Diamondbacks team are much to take advantage of on the base paths. They're going to be out there. They're going to be running. They're going to try to put pressure on the pitchers here in this series. The key to Christian Walker is his power threat. The Brewers need to keep the ball on the ground, especially against a guy like Christian Walker. And that's where we're going to get into a little bit here is who's going to be pitching for the Brewers in this series. But a key to Christian Walker is to keep that ball on the ground, try to get ground balls out of this team. Looking at another guy for him, Tommy Pham. The D-backs got him at the trade deadline. In 50 games, he's hit .241 for him, 720 OPS, 12 doubles, 2 triples, 6 home runs, 26 runs, and 32 RBIs. He's actually got 11 stolen bases with the Diamondbacks. He's riding a 15-game hitting. He was having a 15-game hitting streak between August 8th and 25th, and he's been a consistent hitter for the Diamondbacks here as of leading up into that. As of late, though, he's been struggling. 6 for 35, 171 hitter in his last 10 games. This Diamondbacks team is going to rely on him in the series to come up with some big hits, and the Brewers have to keep him down. He's been down over the last 10. The Brewers need to keep that for 3 more. Looking at another guy for him, Ketel Marte, one of the best hitters on the team. Strong switch hitter, 26 doubles, 9 triples, 25 home runs, and 94 runs while driving in 82. He's walked 71 times. And struck out just 109 times for this team. Has 8 stolen bases on the year. He's going to be relied upon in this series to get on base for this team, be kind of the setup man, the leadoff guy that the Diamondbacks need in this series. So controlling, you have to control these guys, keep them off the base paths because they will be looking to run, and they will be looking. They're a small ball team. They still drive the ball. They have a lot of home runs, but they are not afraid to play small ball with you and try to put pressure when they can on these pitchers. Looking at another guy, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., best power season of his career, was an all-star, 261 hitter, 35 doubles, 2 triples, 24 home runs, 65 runs, 82 RBIs, 33 walks, and only 103 strikeouts. They aren't a very high strikeout rate team. They keep the strikeouts low, and that's where the Brewers need to rely on the ground ball. They aren't going to strike out a lot. They're good at putting the ball in play. So this Brewers team needs to work on getting the ball on the ground, especially some of the not hard throwers that the Brewers have out there in the bullpen, in the rotation. They're going to have to keep the ball on the ground in this series. Even looking at a guy like Burns and Freddie Peralta, those two very prone to giving up the long ball. They're going to have to control the Diamondbacks in this series and keep the ball on the ground. You have an outfield that can run a lot of stuff down in the gaps, but you don't want to play that game with the Diamondbacks team who can get out there and run. A double turns into a triple for this D-backs team real easy. So those are some guys from the Diamondbacks that the Brewers really need to control in this series. And a couple hitters for the Brewers there that need to get hot for this Brewers team to be successful leading up into the series. On a sad note, it was reported yesterday. Podcast was shot before the news broke, so I wasn't able to talk about it yesterday. Brandon Woodruff looks like he's going to miss significant time. Now, I know it says just for the wild card series for sure, and I know he's getting a second opinion. But my worry is you listen to his interview, and my Gandhi, I've never had a harder time listening to an interview. To see the emotion that he was going through, it's not just for him. Brandon Woodruff's a pretty stand-up guy, and that's why I say if I had to pick a guy to bring back to this Brewers roster between Burns and Woodruff, I'd bring Woodruff back any day of the week. Why? Brandon Woodruff wasn't, and you can tell when he's talking. He's not talking about himself. He's not like, I can't go out there. I can't go out there to help this team, to help the team. I just want to be a part of it. That hits. That hurt to hear from Brandon Woodruff, a guy who worked so hard to get back from injury. 4 months, I do believe, he was out with his injury. To get back and pitch as good as he did, leading up into the playoffs here, to have a bullpen, everything felt fine, but he was playing catch and something was off. and they went and got it checked out, and now a shoulder injury again. It had me lost for words while watching it. It was like I was watching the end of Marley and Me over again, and I thought I was just about to tear up listening to him talk there. There's the emotion that he was riding with, and it sucks. It really does suck. But on the flip side of it, like Burns said, like Craig Counsell said, Yelich said, and even like Brandon Woodruff said, this team is deep. This team is special, and there's a lot to it. And a lot to it is a guy like Wade Miley. And a lot of people are going to go, okay, you cannot replace what Brandon Woodruff brings to this team with Wade Miley. You can't. You can't. But guess what? The thing that Wade Miley has that Brandon Woodruff also has is that fight. And Wade Miley shows that out there. He gets that top level. When the chips are down, Wade Miley knows what he has to do. In this series, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm dealing out Corbin Burns game one. And if Corbin Burns, which he should, gets that game one win, I trust in Wade Miley in game two. And I know people say, well, why not pitch Freddie Peralta game two? For the simple fact of leading into this series, why did we have Freddie Peralta in game three? Why were we rolling with Burns, Woodruff, and then Peralta? Top three pitchers, right? You wanted to have your top three guys. Okay, so in this series, if we don't trust Wade Miley in game two to be able to get us a win, why would we trust him in a do or die game three that we want that guy out of the mound? If we trust Freddie Peralta more than Wade Miley, I do believe Wade Miley should go out for game two. I trust Wade Miley can get a win in game two. I really do. I really do think Wade Miley, as long as the offense can hit, as long as the offense is hitting against Gallen, I do think Wade Miley can get the Brewers the win in game two. I trust fully in what Wade Miley can do. He's proven it all season long. He can fight. He can be that dog that the Brewers need in this series and going on into the NLDS there if they make it there. I trust that Wade Miley can be that guy. I think Wade Miley should go in game two. Then in game three, you have a guy like Freddie Peralta to fall back on. One of your big three that you were relying on in this series if you needed it. That's the way that I would roll it out there. Switch it up to have a righty go game one in Corbin Burns. Game two, you have a lefty coming back in Wade Miley. And then game three, you'd have Freddie Peralta coming back out there. The thing that scares me with Freddie Peralta in a series against the Diamondbacks is that the Diamondbacks love to hit the ball in the air. Looking at a guy like Christian Walker and Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, all guys who hit the long ball. They are very successful at hitting the long ball. They showed it early on in the season, struggled in the second half, but that's the thing that worries me with Freddie Peralta leading into this series. I do believe Freddie can pitch lights out. He has pitched lights out for this Brewers team. I think he can do it in this series, and I trust fully in Freddie Peralta. And that's why I put him as my game three starter. I think Freddie Peralta pitches better when the pressure is on. Postseason baseball, the pressure is on all the time, and I think the Brewers pitching staff is set up for that. But I'm rolling Wade Miley in game two. I trust Wade Miley. I think he can get the job done in game two. Then you have Freddie Peralta for game one of the NLDS, and you could back him. Burns would pitch Tuesday. NLDS game two would be, I do believe, Monday. So you could, because the wild card series ends on Friday. I want to check that now. Playoff schedule. I want to check that now just to make sure I am right on that. Looking at the schedule here. NLDS will be on Saturday, and then Monday would be the next game of the series. So you could have Peralta pitch game one of the NLDS if you don't need him game three of the wild card. And then you could also piggyback that with having Corbin Burns come back out for game two of that series. Just a thought. I don't know how far that would get you, but that's the way that I would roll it out there. I really do think that gives the Brewers a good shot. And also, if Brandon Woodruff gets that second opinion and he's ready to rock for the NLDS, Brandon Woodruff's in the mix then too in that division series. But that's the way I would roll it. That's the way I'm sitting at. I'd love to know what you guys think about that. But I am rolling Corbin Burnes game 1 like he is. But then I'm going Wade Miley game 2, followed by Freddie Peralta in a pivotal game 3. That's the way that I would sit with it right now. I'd love to know what you guys think of that, though. That's just my perspective on it. But with that, we're going to jump into just checking out the roster. Just what we predict the roster will be looking at like come playoff times here. We know catcher spot right now, William Contreras, Victor Caratini. I do believe first base, we're going to carry Rowdy Tellez into the playoffs and Carlos Santana. At second base, Bryce Terang. Shortstop, Willie Adames. Third base, Andrew Monasterio and Josh Donaldson will be in there at third base. The outfield's where it gets tricky for me. Christian Yelich, obviously. Tyrone Taylor. I forgot about him in my lineup before. See, you get too many guys in a lineup, you got to figure out somewhere to put them. Tyrone Taylor didn't make my lineup before. Son of a gun. Blake Perkins, Sal Frelick, Garrett Mitchell. Mark Canha comes in at my designated hitter right now. And then I have a toss-up. On my bench, I would do something, and it's going to be baffling for some people because they will say, well, he hasn't played at the major league level in a while. I would bring Owen Miller back up. I think Owen Miller could add a veteran experience. Hasn't been in the playoffs a lot, but veteran experience. Also a contact hitter coming off the bench, and a versatile glove who can play third, second, outfield, first base. He can play anywhere you need him to play on the field. Is his fielding that great everywhere? No. But he can play each spot for you. I bring Owen Miller back up. I've seen a lot of other people have did their projections on it, and they bring Joey Wiemer back up because you're going to have a couple extra hitters here because you won't carry the entire rotation into the playoffs. So you're going to have a couple extra hitters there to make up the full 26. I've seen some people with Joey Wiemer. I'm not bringing Joey Wiemer back. I think you have enough outfielders with Yelich, Taylor, Perkins, Frelick, Mitchell, and Canha with potential to be out there. Also a guy, if you bring Owen Miller back, another potential outfielder. I'm bringing Owen Miller back up to this Brewers team. I don't think it's Joey Wiemer. I don't think he would be an answer for anything besides maybe a defensive guy. But if I look at it and I want defense out in my outfield, why would I not stick with, we talk about how good Tyrone Taylor is in the outfield, even a guy like Blake Perkins, Sal Frelick, and Garrett Mitchell. I have 4 guys right there. If I have a 3-run lead in the 9th and I need to lock it down in the outfield, I have 4 guys right there I can pick from. One of them is probably going to be in there already in Sal Frelick. Mitchell, Perkins, Taylor, all of which can play center, left, or right field. I have my outfield figured out with them. I don't have a need for Joey Wiemer in this line or in this roster at all. I'm bringing Owen Miller back up. That is just my personal opinion. I don't think he's done anything wrong for this Brewers team. He's a contact bat, and I do believe the Brewers could benefit from having him up there. Looking at my starting pitchers for this series, like I said, Corbin Burnes, he's in there, of course. Freddie Peralta, and then I am rolling with Wade Miley. Getting in there as my 3 guys in this series. Looking at the bullpen, Devin Williams, Abner Uribe, Yoel Pampas, Elvis Paguero is back. I got Hobie Milner out there, Trevor McGill, Bryce Wilson, and then this one gets dicey for me. Andrew Chafin, my solid lefty out there right now. With Andrew Chafin, though, it's been a struggle this season for Chafin. I don't know. This is where my struggle comes in. This is where I really have been sitting here pondering who I would have in that last spot out there. Maybe you spot a guy like it's a what better time to make a rookie debut? Robert Gasser out in the outfield out in the bullpen for you. It's a tough spot. I think Andrew Chafin gets the last spot out there in the bullpen. Jansen Junk, maybe a guy, and this is just because I don't think he's pitched bad. I do think that Colin Ray could get a bullpen spot just to be able to extend games. Adrian Hauser just pitched against the Cubs on Sunday, so he isn't going to figure into the rotation for this series. I do think Colin Ray could be another potential guy you would be stuck with only one lefty down there. But I think if you're going to go with your best pitchers in that bullpen, Colin Ray could extend games for you if needed. Maybe Colin Ray could be a guy who is added out there in the bullpen. I do believe it will be Andrew Chafin, though. But with that, that is about all I have for Brewer Talk, talking about the matchup, getting through it here. We will check out just around the league here at the other wildcard games coming up tonight. Just check out the Proud Bulls. 2:08 start for the AL wildcard game between the Rangers and Rays. It looks like Jordan Montgomery will go up against Tyler Glasnow from the Rays. Should be a good series there between the Rangers and Rays. I think, yeah, that game is in Tampa. Looking at the AL wildcard game, the other AL wildcard game, that one is going to be a 3:38 start on ESPN. The other game is on ABC. The game on ESPN, that will be between the Blue Jays and Twins. Kevin Gausman will go for Toronto. Pablo Lopez will go for Minnesota. The Brewers will be the next game on the docket there. 6:08 start from American Family Field on ESPN2. Corbin Burns, like we said, gets the start against, we called him Fat. We're just going to go with Fat. I don't care what his name is. I don't like the D-backs. We're going to call him Fat because I don't know. Silent Pete, we're going to call it. Next game up on the docket, 7:08 start for that last wildcard game there in the NL. The Marlins and the Phillies will be facing off. Luzardo will get the start for Miami against Zach Wheeler from the Phillies. So looks like some big games, a huge wild card Tuesday here coming up. And then leading up into tomorrow, it's going to be a heck of a start of the MLB playoffs here. You just wish it would never end. You wish it was crazy like this all year long. But it has been awesome talking with you guys today. That is about all I got for Brewer Talk for the day. Like I said, 6:08 start tonight for the Brewers. If you're not going to American Family Field, hopefully you are tuning in on ESPN2 to check out the Brewers here. But with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. It's been awesome talking to you guys. Thank you guys for listening. Deuces, Brew Crew.